Ready?
Huh?
Huh?
What?
Huh?
What?
What?
¿Qué pasa?
I said what in the butt?
Oh my god. Or if it's that jinx we were talking about, you'd really feel it in the butt. That is inserting something into someone else, but you feel it
I
yourself.
didn't even think we're talking about that this episode, but...
We're not. I didn't say any of that. Continue.
Yeah, that's the intro. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Two Guys Talk Comics. I'm Josh.
And I'm Keegan.
And I'm Preston.
He's joining us today. We're talking about Deathstroke.
At least the Rebirth Deathstroke and maybe some of Arkham Origins Deathstroke, Josh?
Yeah.
All right. We'll also be talking Preston's favorite comics. And at the same time, Preston here will be live reviewing Deathstroke number 5. All right, so what do we all know about Deathstroke outside of just Rebirth? Josh, what are your thoughts on what is Deathstroke outside of he gave rise to Deadpool?
Yeah. Without Deathstroke, there would be no Deadpool.
Yeah.
Deathstroke, Slade Wilson, they have the exact same story. He was in the military. He was put into a military project to give him super strength and basically invulnerability. And he became an assassin, a hitman for hire.
And he's a very large asshole.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. He killed his children. And he's a douche. And he looks like a douche, too. He needs to cut his hair. He's got a little creepy goatee going.
I love Deathstroke. Deathstroke is probably in my top 10 characters of all time.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah. It's just not in the first four issues of Rebirth.
Yeah, Rebirth has some issues. I think in the same way Harley Quinn's Rebirth went. Just feels very New 52, and everything we hate about New 52 has kind of flowed over.
Yeah.
Issues 1 through, or I guess Rebirth, and then issues 1 through 4. What did you think of that, Preston?
I thought it was interesting. I did. I was a little irritated as Deathstroke was very harsh, and I believe he had a different woman every time we saw him, whether they were dead or alive. His daughter received a death threat, which was interesting, but instead of carrying through with that and making it a nice plot point, it ended up kind of dissolving into something that was rather confusing, and as Keegan, I think, found as well, the comic made no sense.
Yeah, are we talking issue 3? Because that comic, it doesn't even go along with issues, or Rebirth issue, and then 1 through 2 feel like a completely different comic than issue 3.
I'd agree. 3 and 4 were tough.
They jump around a lot, too. They go from, hey, it's Deathstroke camping letting his kid be mauled by a bear, to, hey, it's Deathstroke slitting some lady's throat.
Do you feel like it was jumping around through his past, though, to pick out the points in history that made him who he is?
Yeah, now? But see, the difference is there's great Rebirth issues, and then there's this issue like Steve Rogers, where it jumps from modern-day Steve Rogers, and then it drops to his past and shows you why he's a Nazi Hydra agent. Which makes sense. It's how they ran with it and how it I don't know how
is
it
it like
out.
The Batman v Superman theatrical version where they cut out all the transitions?
You know, that one's probably put together more in a better coherent story than this one. I mean, here. Well, at the same time, Preston is going to be reading Deathstroke 5 to tell you guys if it's good or not, if you should pick it up. But I'm going to pull out Deathstroke Rebirth, which is not Deathstroke 1. They really... DC should have titled these 0 or something else.
Yeah,
it makes no sense.
I get really... I don't know what they're doing with this whole split. I don't know. It's really annoying. Because... I don't know. I don't know why they're splitting every single series into 2 separate series on their own. Is it like just to double it, or is like one to give us like backstory, and then one's to give us
if it's not a reboot, if it's just New 52,
yeah,
why do we need the backstory?
Yeah, I know.
we read New 52. It may have sucked a lot of times.
Yeah.
More than not.
But it ruled in some
Yeah, I mean,
times,
Death of the
but-
Family.
Yeah. But
Endgame, great.
it lost a lot of the things.
Yeah.
Now they're making up for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, here we go. Here's how the plot goes for Deathstroke 1. He throws his child out of the car and he makes fun of him for sleeping in it overnight. His kid gets mad because he tells him, "Son, you're a loser. I hope you die."
Why would anyone get mad about that? I get called a loser all the time.
And then all of a sudden it cuts to him sleeping with some lady, and he's fighting a war.
Wait, who's the woman? What's her name?
I don't know.
See, they don't even explain his lover. It's
How can we
pointless.
get the problem with it? Like, I don't even know what to. It's not as bad as Harley Quinn, which I think might disappoint some people because Harley Quinn right now is the top selling comic of any comic, but it sucks.
In the world.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's outselling Batman, Spider-Man, Avengers, anything. It's outselling Mayday. I mean, who would have thought Mayday, that really crappy miniseries that we read? See, Josh is now also looking this over, saying, "I don't know about it." Now, the part in the Rebirth issue where his son is viciously mauled by a bear, I was like, "Is this the Revenant?" Because I felt like Leonardo DiCaprio eating raw bison liver was a lot more interesting than this. So far, issue 5 doesn't seem to be too exciting for you, Preston.
Issue 5 is interesting. Batman says he doesn't kill kids, but it's seen here that he's choking and spreading glass and drywall over this kid's body. Mind you, not killing him, just putting him in a wheelchair, so it's okay. Meanwhile, his buddies, who appear to be douche thugs, they look like they work at the Hostess factory. They're running up the stairs. Meanwhile, Slade Wilson's daughter, Rose Wilson, I believe is her name, she's just killing people
has
left
that
and
even
right.
has that even been? We know her first name's Rose, but
It's confirmed earlier in this issue where she goes to employ the help of Batman, and Batman says yes, he'll help because she's got a hit on her, which I'm not quite sure why Batman cares. Probably because, I don't even know. What she does have is a scar on her lip that conveniently changes places from left to right. That's frustrating me.
okay. So
Besides
now that makes the scene in issue 4 where she's in a towel sitting on the bed, and she comes out of the shower, and he's just like butt naked.
Oh.
Like, that's really awkward now. Like, I'm very confused by their writing.
Wait, restart. His daughter saw him butt naked.
Yeah.
Is that where he's wearing what appears to be a fanny pack?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Okay,
Well,
alright.
That's issue 4. That's right before this.
I see. How is Robin not dead?
Well, it's Damian Wayne. He already died once. He's back alive now.
Yeah,
Why
he got
isn't he-
killed.
Oh.
But see, he also uses Lazarus Pit. But unfortunately, he only hates Superman's son, apparently, in these comics. He really, really dislikes
Let's be
Superman's
clear.
son.
Slade Wilson has never been portrayed as a good guy.
She's just like, Slade, Jesus.
That's I think that's a, what do you call it? It's like a bullet
did he
resistant jacket,
Dude,
but it
I'm
just goes
so
over the
lost.
front of you like a padding.
so
that he's
it's-
wearing.
Yeah. What I'm confused is, why does he look like a chupacabra here?
A what?
A chupacabra?
A what?
Like, look at that.
Do you want to explain the chupacabra to people?
I really don't, but
Okay.
I feel like this panel, all it has to say is "ah," and some people might understand that. Most people won't, but I feel like you know what I'm meaning. Like, I don't understand this. And look, his daughter is wearing a Wonder Woman shirt. Like, what's going on?
Ready? Plot twist. Deathstroke, you know that hit on his daughter?
Yeah.
He's the one who's trying to kill her.
Done.
Why is he trying to kill her?
But not kill her. He like just shows up while she's sleeping with her boyfriend.
Okay, that's different.
Actually sleeping.
That's because he was making sure he wasn't the one stabbing her. If you know what I mean. All right, so here they have what appears to be a broadcast that Deathstroke had put out, but the broadcast was done by a robot Deathstroke. That's kind of weird. And then she's like, whoa, that's super weird. What's up with that? And then Batman's with her, and he's like, oh, it seems like it was someone else that put out the contract. And then he says, quote, it's the games Deathstroke plays, end quote. And she's in her room wearing a Wonder Woman shirt, which is a little strange. And she says, oh, my father is trying to kill me. Well, how about that? And then she calls some dude who's holding a basketball.
I think that's her boyfriend that she was not sleeping with. She was just sleeping with.
That's true. Oh, by the way, her sword is broken. Just want to point that out. And her belt looks like a face. That's point. And he's talking to her, and she says...
I feel like he's about to die.
Wait. Dude, hold up. She said it's about Dad, so I hope it's her boyfriend and not her brother, because her brothers are dead. Yeah, it can't be her brothers. And then...
The brothers were both murdered. One, he tried to have a bear murder him, Revenant style, and he's like, no, not today. Son, it was your fault for being out in the woods, even though, we were camping.
Man, this is really freaking weird. All I know is the dude with the basketball is about to get killed.
What lies and liars lying.
Which is a triple L, by the way. Which stands for something cool.
So what are your takes on Deathstroke, the whole Rebirth through 5?
I would say that they did it poorly. They seem to rush through the story based upon his past, like Josh was so kindly and intellectually pointing out, that they were indeed trying to mix his past life in to kind of give it a sense of, I don't know, character buildup, but I think they did it too quickly. There was instances where it felt like it was a little misplaced, like when he was talking about his kids in the car and everything. That was a little strange. He could have mentioned that earlier, or like right before Rose got the hit, because then it'd be like, oh, he really cares about his daughter because he killed his kids, so he doesn't want to lose another kid.
But it shows he really doesn't.
Exactly, because he goes to put the hit out himself. So I think that they could have done a few simple things to make his character better. Make him more badass, first of all, by not making him such a jerk. Shave his head, shave his goatee. I like that they put the backstory of where his eye got blown out with a 45. Not quite sure how he lived through that one. But I guess since his experimentation...
Yeah, it gives him regenerative abilities, so...
Except for the eye.
Yeah. So...
But
that makes sense.
His ex-wife, after, what did you say they did? They fought?
They aggressively fought, in which case one of them wasn't able to walk the next day.
And then, she wants a divorce. He leaves.
Under force. This dude shows up while they're both naked, and he's like, let's go, Slade.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay. And he gets up and walks away
and then,
from his naked
that guy's
lady.
like, oh, I like your breasts. She's like, I don't like people seeing me like this.
And then he's like, I wasn't talking to you, lady. I was talking to your man over there with the nice Ripley chest. And then Deathstroke was like, hell yeah. Slapped the dude's butt, and then they walked out. Comic ends, and I'm like, I don't know what just happened.
And then we go to the next issue where you see his ex-wife leaving. I don't know where one of the sons isn't there.
Right.
She comes back, says, I'm dead, or call me Deathstroke, written in blood, with a knife through the son's picture. And then you learn, he's an asshole. So overall, would you recommend Deathstroke Rebirth?
Not the first 4. The 5th one was okay. Because it's got cool guns. But the first 4, I don't recommend, but I feel like they are necessary to understand all of them. But don't have high hopes. Do it like a math test, where you don't want to do it, but you know that you got to. That's what it's like.
How did you feel about the art style?
It was pretty alright. It was okay. Like I said, I would have made some character changes as to the appearance and some of the detail. But I'd say the art style is actually pretty cool. I liked all the colors. I felt like it was pretty graphically done. Plus, blood is a must-have. Yeah. So that was cool.
Must-have in a Deathstroke story. Yeah. So far, DC Universe Rebirth Deathstroke reminds me of the current Black Panther run. Very kind of political, very preachy, but not as good.
Yeah.
Black Panther I think's a little bit better. So Josh, Deathstroke in Arkham Origins. You think he's a better character than in Rebirth?
He basically has no character in Arkham Origins.
Oh.
He's a hitman hired by the Joker to go after Batman, and you have 2 fights with him, I think. You have one where it's hands on and you have to use gadgets. He's like, I'm gonna take you down, Batman.
That's how he talks?
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Because he's a badass. I'm gonna take you down.
I like that. I like that. Sounds good. I enjoy
And then later on he gets a tank. And you have to fight him in a tank.
Who has the tank?
Deathstroke has a tank.
Oh my god. What's the tank called? Double Deathstroke?
It's like you fight an earlier version of it that whoever's partnered up with Scarecrow. Or no, never mind. I'm thinking of Arkham Knight. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna be like Arkham Knight.
Never
Red
mind.
Hood.
Arkham Knight, he gets a tank.
Red Hood gets a tank.
Yeah.
He also gets a helicopter when you first meet him.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You don't really remember me, Bruce."
Yeah. Never mind. Sorry. So I think there's literally only one fight in Arkham Origins where you fight Deathstroke.
Really too bad because they hyped Deathstroke up so much in the trailers.
Yeah, they did.
And they said Black Mask was going to be the main villain, which he wasn't.
Nah.
I mean, I get it. Joker's obviously Batman's top villain. And I love the Joker, but if you're going to tell me it's not the Joker, don't make it be the Joker.
I still really liked Arkham Origins.
Yeah, it's not bad. I like Troy Baker.
The thing about it that made it cooler in its own way is that they really went all out on the art for it and the cutscenes and everything. They went full force with those. Made them look beautiful. So good. But they were all pre-rendered. Whereas in like the previous games, it was all in-game engine. And there were no like... In Arkham Origins, when a cutscene would end, it would go black screen and then you'd be back into the game. Whereas in Arkham Asylum and City, you would...
The cutscene was playing as you were playing.
Yeah, it would like play and then you would be moved back into gameplay without any hitching or anything like that. So it was so much more streamlined.
Arkham Origins wasn't bad.
Yeah. It was definitely made... You could tell it was definitely made by another company that was trying to ape Rocksteady's style on it. But they did it their own way, which was probably cheaper for them to do it that way than try to go through whatever Rocksteady does to try to make their games work. Although, still pretty pissed about Arkham Knight. Still won't buy any WB games.
I know it was worse on the PC, but even on the PS4, the Batmobile is awful. Yeah. And they continuously shove it down your throat. And I'm like, this is the worst thing I think I've ever played.
On PC, you couldn't... It was locked at 30 when they said it was going to be 60. None of the textures would load. You would get super frame rate drops. It would crash. You would have glitches everywhere. It was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. And then they tried to fix it. And then they brought it back and they're like, yeah, we can't fix it. It was like, ugh. But for me, Deathstroke has always been a bad guy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's always a bad guy. So the stories that they're telling in Rebirth, granted, they're not the best stories, in my opinion.
No. Gods of
and
War,
I think in our consensus,
really
it's not great.
Yeah.
But it very much, what you guys are saying, that he's an asshole, you know, wants to kill his daughter, killed his kids.
I mean, what might also be hurting Deathstroke, which may also have hurt Harley, outside of it being stupid beyond belief, is the other rebirths are really, really good. And when you're showing that versus, the same company, how are they doing so much worse? I mean, Superboy seems like a better character than Deathstroke at this point. I mean, he kills birds. I just don't think
there's a lot of comparative to, like, say, Deadpool. Deadpool, even though Deadpool is a copy.
Yeah, much like Marvel does a lot.
Yeah, Marvel is very bad about copying.
Yeah, Thanos is Darkseid.
But Deadpool has a certain charismatic craziness to him that allows him to have more interesting stories. Deathstroke is, I'm a guy, I want money, I'm going to get paid to get this money by killing somebody. And that's pretty much his story. He doesn't like Batman.
He doesn't like anybody.
He doesn't like anybody.
I don't even know if he likes himself.
Thing.
Like, I feel like
his daughter.
Yeah, well, he doesn't like any of his kids.
So, I mean, most of the time he's really good as a villain. Like, if you were going to have him go up against a hero on his own, telling his own stories, I don't know if it's going to be as good as him being the villain.
It's definitely not
because you're trying to sympathize with the person that you're supposed to hate.
It's not one that I'm going to pick up right when it comes out.
Yeah.
I might pick it up here and there just to keep reading it, but...
I'm just a Deathstroke fanboy, so I pick up every issue.
I mean, I have all of them up to this point, but as far as, like, action comics, Red Hood, Detective Comics, All-Star Batman, or Batman, even Flash right now is doing really well.
Speaking of Red Hood, I haven't gotten to read much of it.
All right.
You want to talk about that? How good it is?
No, we'll talk about it.
You're going to talk about it next time?
The DC episode.
When we talk about our favorite comics?
Yeah, speaking of favorite comics, Preston is going to tell you about his favorite comic and why it's his favorite.
Well, I received this issue. It's an X-Men comic. It's called Heroes for Hope. Now, it's a book donated to famine relief and recovery in Africa, and it was issued in 1985 on December 1st, so almost exactly 31 years old. So the reason I like this guy so much is the artwork is definitely archaic, and it's really interesting to see the style change. There's a lot of gaps in color, there's not tons of background detail. It focuses mainly on the characters themselves, and the dialogue is pretty deep. There's a lot to it, and the different aspects within it, it's a long comic. And there's no ads throughout, except like there might be one, but I can't recall seeing any of them through the whole comic. Nope, there are none. And on the back, they've got a nice little artwork, but there's different villains they face the whole time. There's a villain of hunger, and there's this lady who comes along and she's tricking all of the X-Men to fight themselves. Like, they see a darker shadow of each other. And so, like, Wolverine is naked and he's wandering through the forest, and he runs into like this giant badass evil version of himself, and he has to fight him. And it's just stuff like that. Storm runs into some craziness, and it's interesting to see. It's almost like seeing the fear of each character, and it relates just to the fear of hunger and the famine in Africa, and I think that it was just done especially for that in a unique way. And I don't know, I just kind of enjoyed this issue due to that and the significance it held behind it. And I've always been a stickler for the X-Men, while Deathstroke is my favorite, minus Wolverine. But they're both there, and I think it's fantastic. So that's why Heroes for Hope was my favorite comic issue of all time.
The 80s seems like... I know the Golden and Bronze, or Golden and Silver Age get a lot of hype, but the 80s are on fire with comics.
Yeah.
I think it's the best. The 80s is when comics were at their peak.
Definitely. I mean, that was, what was it, 60s into the 70s was Silver Age, and then right after that, I think right around probably mid-70s into the 80s, that's when Bronze Age started, when writers and artists were actually starting to take chances. Yeah, and they were like, we're going to take our comics back. We're going to take our characters back.
When they weren't censored all the time and they had to be clowny and funny.
We're going to have a reason why we're making a comic, and that's an awesome reason for this one.
Yeah, this one actually is a really good reason. And yeah, I'm really glad you brought this and talked to our viewers about it today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love seeing these older ones too.
Yeah, the old artwork. There's actually a current series, I haven't started. It's like Suicide Squad Most Wanted, but the artwork on the cover looks very 80s, 90s, and just that alone intrigues me. It's a little, just the color palette. It's kind of what we grew up on, I guess, is why the nostalgia holds over.
Yeah, reading comics as a kid. And you see it progress to these
Like
days.
I said, mine was that Batman Scarecrow from like 95.
Yeah. I think the first comic I ever picked up, it wasn't even a Batman comic. It was a Star Wars comic.
Mine was my dad's. He had a big stack. He had All the Nightfall. And then he also had like Batman versus Alien versus Predator and like all these other really cool ideas that you're like, we don't see that now because all the companies are really kind of, no, we can only do our product. There's no mix and match. Like when we had Justice League versus Avengers and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And another example of the 80s being a little more rocking is that I stated previously, there is no ad in this entire comic. And you'd think if they were trying to make more proceeds, considering it's a donation, that they would add more ads. But they didn't, because I think that the success was already there. And nowadays, I mean, you read a Deathstroke comic, well, there's an ad on every other page. And I think it just goes to show that there's so much diversity now, whereas before in the 80s, it was pretty tight and they had a lot more readers. And I think that there's just been a loss of art, and it seems kind of desperate, as Keegan was stating previously, what with the Harley Quinn fail within her comics.
Oh, yeah, it's horrible.
Does that really say 75 pence?
It's that much cheaper. A Marvel...
I always see something, usually you see it with the euro symbol these days, but that's still pence for the UK currency.
That's pretty cool. I like that. $1.50, not bad.
All right, so I think...
Sorry, I had to say that because I was like, damn.
Well, it's something you notice.
It's something that you don't see these days.
You go back and you read, and you see a lot of history actually, through comics, which is interesting.
It's a time capsule for some of the greatest and worst things in history.
Yes, so I think we'll end our Deathstroke / Preston's favorite comic episode here. Preston's going to be joining us for our Harry Potter one as well.
Yeah.
So go check that out. We'll also give you our review for Fantastic Beasts. And I know we're working on me and Josh's favorite comics, as well as some more into DC Universe Rebirth. And has it helped? Has it hurt?
I think after the... Because tomorrow, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them comes out. We're also going to do a pre and post podcast together at the same time, so you're going to get them both.
From us in the past and us in the future, but you'll never know which one it is.
But I think after that, we're really going to dig pretty deep into Rebirth, our favorite comics.
Yeah, DC is killing
it. But yeah, DC in general, most of their comics, killing it. Batman animated versus TMNT. I want to read more of that. Yeah. They got some other stuff. If you guys are interested, you should check out Midnighter and Apollo.
Yeah, DC, outside of Image, I think Marvel is doing some good stories, but they're falling far behind in the top 3.
Yeah. DC, it's good because they talked and they were like, what's not working? This isn't working. Let's go back to what
worked and what people want. Yeah.
And pull those stories that people were like, damn, that was a story right there. So I think DC's finally finding its way back, at least comic book wise. See if they can fix it in the movies, but that's on Warner's hands.
Yeah. So thank you, Preston, for joining us. I know later down the road you'll be joining us again, and we'll be doing hopefully some fan films next year where you want to play Deathstroke.
Absolutely.
And I also know you're going to be making a custom Lucille for me, so we'll review that on the channel as well.
Sounds good.
Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit that like button and leave a comment in the comment section. If you have anything you want us to talk about, we will try to talk about them.
And if you think we're wrong about Deathstroke, tell us why. We'd love to hear what you guys think about Deathstroke and Deathstroke Rebirth.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, everyone, and we will see you all next time.